Hello, hello. We are back for another Happy at Home session. Welcome, welcome. My name is Alice Bull and I run the membership group at scraphappy.org. And today we are here for a little bit of creativity. Today we're going to play with watercolors. And so I think this is going to be a lot of fun. We talked about some no-line watercoloring yesterday. And today we're going to check out what that's all about. And then we'll see how much time we have to dive into all the other fun stuff. So I've got a lot of stuff on my desk here today, probably too much. That's normal. And that's okay because it's just going to allow us to dive into some more fun. Now, if you've missed our series so far that we've been doing, oh wow, it's been great. Misty is here. She says, yeah, I get to catch one live today. Yay, thanks for joining us. I see Gina is here again and Donna is here again. Thank you so much for being here with me. It just makes it so fun to see some familiar faces in the group. And if you're new here and you're just catching this, then welcome. I hope you enjoy it. We are going live every weekday this month at the same time and just exploring different aspects of creativity that we can bring into our scrapbooking. So, y'all ready for this? Okay, yesterday we were working with the Pink Fresh Studios, like their matching stencil sets. Like they have stencils and stamps and washi tape and what was it? A die that you can use all the pieces together to make really cool embellishments for your pages. And so we had done a little bit of that with the layered stencils on Wednesday. And then yesterday we dove into the pieces. Okay, they're all here. They're all here. I'll bring them over. Okay, well, I won't bring them all over. I'll bring the big pieces over. We'll leave the little pieces over there. We'll bring the little pieces over. So this was the one that we had used the stencils on, the layered stencils, to get all of the fun colors. Like, so pretty, so pretty. Sorry, I'm working with a different camera today. I gotta get used to that. I tell you, the tech problems never end. You have to be flexible if you are going to do online video stuff. So how pretty is that? I know my hair is so long. I've had it tied back this week and I thought today I'll just tie it to the side and bring it forward. I've never in my life had my hair this long. So really funny. Yeah, but then they also have this washi tape, right? This big gigantic roll of washi tape, and it matches with the dies too, so that you can make really cool embellishments. Like, how pretty is that? So that was just a little piece of the fun that we've been having this week. I'm going to put these back here so that I don't end up messing them up today. While I'm here, I'm going to grab this because I left this on the stamp, the thing. I haven't cleaned it, actually. Should have cleaned it. I'm usually not bad, but you know, I cleaned up some of the stuff and I totally forgot about this. You'll have to make a page with them and show us. Absolutely. If it doesn't happen this month, because, you know, I tend to dive more into creativity this month. But next month, we have a load challenge coming up. That's a layout a day challenge. Scrap Happy members get access to this for free. If you're not a Scrap Happy member, you can join us for load. You just have to sign up. It's $65 for the month. It's daily prompts. This time it is load 522. How can I go like this? 522. And it's called Build Your Story. And we are going to be inspired to tell our stories based on cool architecture and design from around the world. And I tell you guys, I'm so excited about this. So it's not like you have to go to the places, but you're going to draw inspiration from the places. And those kinds of stories that I pull out of there will help you tell your stories and inspire a little bit of creativity for your pages. So that is coming up May 1st. Registration is open now. It's at scraphappy.org/load, LOAD. And yeah, that is now open. If you're a Scrap Happy member, it's included in your membership. So if you've ever considered membership and you're like, I'd like to try load, we do 3 of them a year. So there's 3 included for members every year, plus a mini. So it's like 3 and a bonus on top of all of our other Scrap Happy stuff. Okay, so I think this is clean enough. Let's talk about no line watercolor. So cool. I haven't actually tried it, so I'm a little nervous. I haven't actually tried it, but I've seen it, and I'm like, I want to do that. I want to try that. I think I can do that. Okay, I think this is clean enough. Hopefully it's clean enough. And maybe I'll just like pat it off. Am I getting any stuff off of here? Well, it's looking pretty good. I don't want to leave big marks, so maybe I should just like test it on a little sheet of paper before I really dive in. I know I haven't switched cameras yet. It's okay. I'm just cleaning a stamp. It's nothing big. No excitement yet, guys. Okay. Just wanted to make sure it wasn't going to mark on stuff. Okay, so we're going to use special ink. They are over here. Okay, let's get them. Okay, let's disturb a little happiness here. Okay, so I've got two today, and I don't know which one is going to be better. I haven't tried either of them before, so we're going to play, we're going to experiment. We will all learn, says Gina. Exactly, we will all learn together. And that way, if I screw up, you can see all the things that I'm doing wrong, and then you don't have to do the things wrong. But I have the right tools. I know I have the right tools, and so that's where, you know, it's important to start. Yesterday, I told you all about my favorite ink. This is the black ink. It's black Amalgam ink from Gina K Designs. It's magic ink. It is the good stuff. It lets you watercolor. It lets you use alcohol markers. It lets you do whatever you like, and it does not bleed, and it does not mess up. It is lovely. So we talked about that. Well, Gina also has some Amalgam ink in some other colors. Whisper, which is this grayish one, and Barely There, which is this kind of nudie color, like peachy, pale, blush. I don't know. It's very light. So the idea is that you stamp with one of these light colors, and then when you watercolor in ink, you're not going to see the lines. So instead of having a lovely image like these ones with the black lines, you're going to have your image with super faint lines that once you've watercolored, you're not really going to see those lines. Sound cool, right? And the results are beautiful. But we have these ones here. These ones are on the watercolor paper. I had stamped those up yesterday, and we will get some watercolor paper here today and stamp these ones up so that we can try these. Okay, so the watercolor paper, that's always a question. What paper do you use? Pretty much whatever I can get my hands on is what the answer is. I did go to an art supply store. Ooh, fancy. I went to an art supply store and got this stuff. It is Canson, C-A-N-S-O-N, Canson Watercolor Paper. It is a cold press, fine grain, I think. It's a cold press, durable surface, whatever they're telling me here. It's good. It's 9 by 12. So advantage to 9 by 12, it's already 12 inches. So if you want to take this to a scrapbook piece of paper, you want to take this to a scrapbook, you can do like a whole banner along the side. You just need to kind of fill in another 3 inches, and that's super easy. So 9 by 12, great size. I have another one here. This is watercolor paper. This one is 140-pound weight. So weight is like how thick and heavy your paper is. More so, it's like how much does it weigh when you take like a certain number of sheets of it or something like that. That's what it's kind of actually based on. But I just think of it bigger numbers, thicker paper. General guideline. So listen to this paper. Okay, you hear it? It's kind of like thump, 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 thump. Like it's thick paper compared to like this little notebook paper, right? It's just like really light. And if I want to go even lighter, I have this sheet of loose leaf paper. It's like lined school notebook paper, super light. So you can kind of hear the difference in the quality of those papers. So I'm going to use this one. This one here is from Walmart, I think. It is 90 pounds, so it's not as heavy as this one, but it will work. It's also 9 by 12, so, you know, you're already heading in the right direction. Okay, we're going to cut this. We're going to start the we're going to start the inking process. So watercolor, of course, you don't have to use any You don't have to stamp things to do watercolor. You can do watercolor on your own. But if you're like me, you're not really naturally artistic. Like some people are, but I'm not naturally artistic. I can't like draw something and color it and make it really look like that thing. Like that's not my special talent, or at least yet. It's not yet my special talent. So stamping is a really great way for us to practice skills in watercoloring and feel like we don't suck. Well, we don't have to do the drawing part. Just that's the way I interpret it. Feel free to interpret in your own way. That's how I interpret it. Let's see. 9 is 4.5. Am I right? That looks about right. Okay, we're gonna split this in half, and I'll have 2 pieces, and we'll be able to do that. Now, before I saw the question, Donna, so I will talk about that in a sec. She asked about amalgam ink, but before we get into that, watercolor paper. There is a 12 by 12 watercolor paper. You can get bigger than 12 by 12. You can get larger pads that are longer and stuff. That's more like what the artists will use. There is one that is fabulous if you like 12 by 12 scrapbooking, and that is from Prima. Prima makes a pad of watercolor paper that is 12 by 12. I do for sure already have this linked on my faves. I'm adding some things as we go through the week. I don't have everything added there yet, but I am adding things as we go. This is already linked because it has been my favorite for a long time. I can just watercolor the whole background and just use that on my scrapbooking, and it's amazing. I love this paper. It's 12 by 12. There's 20 sheets in a packet of it. I have no idea what it costs. You have to go look it up. If you want to use my affiliate link, it'll be there. But Prima watercolor paper, and it's a nice quality. It's a good texture. It's a good weight, and it's pretty white. It's pretty white. You know, there's white, and then there's kind of white, and then there's kind of yellowy white and stuff. This one's pretty white, which I also really like. Okay, let's get stamping. So question, what is amalgam ink? What makes amalgam ink so special? I have literally no idea. Sorry. I have no idea. It is a specially designed type of ink that Gina worked hard on with suppliers and producers to be able to make an ink that would not bleed, that would hold up under the conditions that crafty people like us want to do. To help her do the things that she wanted to do. She wanted to be able to use her alcohol ink markers after she stamped and color an image in. And with most inks, if you use them with alcohol ink markers, they will bleed and run, and your alcohol ink markers will mess up. The colors will just mesh together, run together, and it looks nasty. But yeah, these amalgam inks don't do that. They will stay put. Okay, so let's try, we're gonna flip the camera so that you can see what I'm doing. Yes, it's working. It's always like, is it still working? I had it set up. Okay, we have it still working. I'll keep these ones here with the black ink to the side. We might do them kind of like at the same time to kind of compare the effect. That would be cool, right? April says, I have not been brave enough to try no line watercoloring. I know I'm not up to no line watercoloring. You might be. We will show you. We will show you today how easy it'll be. We hope. Okay. Oh, you guys, I have the cutest little mug today. It has my kid on it. My mom had made it, and it's all him water skiing. It's so cute. Okay. So let's start with this Barely There amalgam. And I think with this color, it lends to certain colors. So depending on what color palette you're planning to do, like with the florals, this might be better for like if you're having pinky flowers or something rather than having gray. We'll see. I'm going to do both, right? How will I know if we don't test them? So I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to ink it up pretty good. And we'll probably do it more than once because that's just the way, right? So we'll get some ink on here. Oh, it's dirty. It's totally dirty. Look at this. My ink, my stamp pad is still dirty. I did not get it clean enough. Seriously, that's a problem. Look at that. That is not the color of the ink. That is my stamp not being clean enough, guys. Sorry. So I'm just going to take a little bit of my water with a paper towel and see if I can get more stuff off of there. I should have taken this to the sink and just given it a really good scrub, but now I didn't, and now we see why that's a problem. I'm gonna just flip this piece over because, you know, this paper, is it as good on the other side? I don't know. I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see. There's definitely slightly different textures to watercolor paper, so, you know, I guess we'll learn another lesson today. Lisa says here, and she says, or Lisa's here, she says, howdy from Brooklyn. So, April says, with most ink types, you had to choose if you were going to watercolor, then you used archival inks. If you were going to alcohol ink, you had to use something else. Yeah, this amalgam just kind of solves all the problems at once. And it's just a fabulous, great black, like, and it's a nice, dark, rich black once you make sure you get it on good enough. Okay, is this better? Let it be better. Okay, and I'll run my little chamois over it one more time too. That will take any little bits of my paper towel off if I still had them on there, because that might have happened. And you can see I've got some of the ink color on there. You know, stuff happens. My stuff is not pristine. I try to take good care of it, but let's just say I don't. It's not pristine. Okay, let's get this on here. It's still making kind of a mess. I'm not happy. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take this and clean this because I don't want it to be messy like this. I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, guys. This should have been better and cleaner. That would have been better. But we'll move forward. We learn from our mistakes, and now you learn from mine. Don't use dirty stamps, man. Like, clean your stuff up. Okay, much better. That should be good now. We'll move forward. I'll have to cut another sheet of this later, but here we go. Get it done. Okay, so we'll ink this up again. Third time's the charm, right? That's what the saying is. Third time's the charm. This is one's going to be lovely. I think there's still some wet spots there, but I think this is going to work. I think we're moving forward. I'm definitely getting ink. I think there's a few areas that haven't transferred yet. Okay. It's so dirty. I'm so disappointed because I definitely washed it like okay with quite a bit of water. Oh, Alice, what are you doing, girl? Okay, we'll just try one more time. I've got to get most of that junk out of there now, right? Like, it's got to be getting better. Oh, best cleanup I found is Nuvo stamp cleaner. Like, this is just disappointing that it's so dirty. I almost want to try something like completely different. Just because there's just stuff inside all the little bits, and that's now coming through. Oh, poor cleanup. Wrecks your next project. Note to self: use a different stamp, says Gina. I know, but this one is so pretty. And I really want to compare, and I wanted to be able to cut it out with that die. I know. It's not like I don't have other stamps, because, like, I tell you, this girl has some other stamps. I'm just gonna rub it, like, really good into all these little creases. And there we go. I've had the same thing happen. Use a dark color ink pad. Well, I can do that on these and like save them. I can still go back and save them if I want to do like a dark color, you know, with those, but it won't help for this no line stuff. Okay. I think I've solved it. Let me try a piece of paper towel in here. Yeah, okay. I think we're getting it. Here, let's take the paper towel off. Okay, we're gonna cut another one. Call that like comedy of errors, number 1. And that's gonna be the only problem that happens today. Lisa says it's a good lesson for us. I'm for sure gonna benefit from seeing this. Clean your stamps. Yeah, you guys are good sports. Okay, we will try this again. It's gonna be way better this time. And I'm gonna tell you, this thing is looking nasty because I ruined it, but you know, the ink underneath is gonna be fine. It'll be okay. So, note to self, do a better job. Okay, I'm going forward. This one's gonna be great. Yeah, can you tell it's a Friday? Here we go. Ta-da! Okay, that's what it's supposed to look like, guys. Not full of all like these dark, dirty spots. Okay. And I'll just get a nice bit of color in there. Enough so that I can really see what it looks like. See, there's a couple spots still that are still kind of dirty, but this will work. And we may as well do the other one right now. Just wipe some of that just right off the top. And we'll do the other one. Oh, yeah. So this is gonna be like the comedy. Also stamp off your ink pad. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. Like just kind of like rub it off, kind of clean it off. Get some of the stuff off the surface. It does look a little dirty when I'm taking that ink off right there. Okay. Maybe make a little improvement to it. Okay. Now we're going to put the other one down and we'll do the Whisper, the gray color. So voila. I know, it's like, that'll do. That'll work. I'm actually usually pretty good about cleaning my stuff, so like seeing this right now, I'm like super irritated. And that's not quite dark enough in some areas. So this is the Whisper Amalgam ink. Let me put a little pressure on it. I don't have one of those like fancy pressure things yet. But there we go. I think that looks okay. Do I have enough details in those flowers? I think so. I think so. Let's go for it. Okay. I'm going to just wipe the surface of this one off. And I did rinse out my cloth before I started, so I'm not like rubbing a grubby old cloth onto it, but I don't know. Oh, I don't like to close that on there. It does kind of stick. Okay, so there we go. We've got them stamped with the different stuff. So this is the Barely There, this is the Whisper, and I'll bring this one over, and this is the black. So those are the ones that I have. So next thing we should talk, I need an apprentice, someone to clean up after me like a sous chef. I love that idea. There we go. Gina says, Alice, you need one of the handheld pressy things, right? I know. I just recently got my Gemini because that made it so much easier for me, like rather than rolling the stuff. Like I actually do have arthritis. And so, yeah, it's like, well, it's time to upgrade the tools, honey. Let's work with it rather than try to fight it. So like, well, I'm trying to fight it too, but let's work with it because fighting it doesn't always work. So, okay, we have different watercolor tools. Yeah, I know. I can use these ones too. I'll probably just go in with black ink and like go over the top of them because I could just pop them back in. They are on my, the stamp is still on there, which means I can easily pop them in and line them up. So I won't just throw them away. Now, I have a whole variety of different options when it comes to watercolor. We all have a lot of different options when it comes to watercoloring. So one of the things that you can use if you don't have actual watercolors is you can use your colored ink pads. If you have ink pads from stamping, you can use your ink pads. So you can just take your ink pad, push a little bit of ink onto your mat or surface. If you don't have a mat or surface, just take like a plastic bag and push some of it on there, like a piece of those 12 by 12 bags that your scrapbook pages go in. You can use that as a little mixing mat for the different inks. And then you just take your water and your brush and you pick up the ink from that mat. So you probably have inks. Don't have stamp pads? Do you have markers? You can use markers. You scribble some of those on a piece of plastic, grab some water, dip it into your water. I do have water here. Sorry, now my face is in the way. I do have water. Dip that in your water, and then you can use that. So scribble from marker. Another product that came out many years ago that a lot of people like to use when they're doing watercolor effects are watercolor pencils. So these ones are from Stampin' Up. I've had these in my stash for quite some time, but they work really great. You can see I haven't used them a ton. Or is this my new set? Oh yeah, I had a class set. They got really messy. This is my new set. So yeah, the watercolor pencils, they allow you to shade in the colors, and then you add a little bit of water and ta-da, magic. So having those different options that you might already have. Now, watercolor pencils are not the same as like a regular Crayola, Laurentine, whatever those crayons are called. They're not the same as that. Watercolor pencils are different, just so you know. You might have also at some point picked up some watercolor markers. There are different ones. These are the Vicki Boutin ones that came out. These are the Jane Davenport ones that came out. They are quite intense pigments, and I suggest that you do the same with these. You put them onto your mat, use your water to pick up your colors, and then you can take those to your projects. If you take these direct to your projects, it's going to be really, really bright and really, really colorful and really, really darkly pigmented. It's harder to get the softer colors if you take those right to your paper. Yeah. So April says if you get a press tool, one of the big ones for on top of your stamp thing, I find that putting a piece of cloth or towel on top of your platform makes it easier to rub. Oh, good tip. So yeah, I need to get one of those. Gina says my hands know the difference. Yeah, so having good tools, right? And when new tools come out, I like to kind of see, like, you hear about them, and then when you actually see the people that are using that tool after they come out, right? When something new comes out, everybody's excited and they get the brand new thing and it's like, yay, it's wonderful. But what are they using in 3 months? Are they still using that awesome new tool? What are they using in 6 months? Are they still using that awesome tool? Because if they're not, then something about it wasn't making their scrapbooking, their creative life better, right? Okay, so we have here the dark one, the Barely There, and the Whisper, and I can now start some watercoloring. Those are just some of the options. Recently, well, as in last year, I got some watercolors, liquid watercolors from Concord and Ninth. That was a product they came out with, and they gave us some of them in a class workshop that I did. It was like one of their online events, and I thought it was really great because they gave us yellow, they gave us red, and they gave us blue and green, as well as, shoot, what is this one? It's like mushroom. It was kind of a brownie color. So having yellow, red, blue, green, you can make all the colors with that. And so just with a couple bottles of watercolor, you have a lot of options in creating, right? It's not like you just have yellow, red, and blue. You have access to all the colors that you can mix together. Another interesting product that I've played with a little bit are these ones. These are Butler watercolor heat set paint. So if you've ever watercolored and think, oh my gosh, this takes too long, you want to stop the paint and be able to have that layer dry so that you can do other stuff in layers over top of it. These little paint pots from Butler allow you to do that. So you open up the little paint pots, you work your magic, and you use your heat tool to heat set it. So it's kind of a newer technology, and it was, I think, patented by Emerald Creek Crafts, who are a fabulous company that does embossing powders, by the way. So super fun. The other option that you have when it comes to watercolor, you can go with like a little pots like this. Reminds you of the ones that you might have used when you're a kid, right? In fact, I do have a little travel one that came out from Amy Tangerine and American Crafts, and that little travel one, it has a small palette like just a few colors, but darn if it's not perfect to slip into your bag. It holds a little bit of water. It holds a little sponge so you can kind of brush off extra color from your brush, and it has a little flip out palette so you can mix colors on the palette too. And so that's a really handy one. This one here is the one from Close to My Heart, and I tell you, I love this palette so much, especially for these colors here. Their blues and greens are lovely. I love their blues and greens, so much so that because some of them were starting to run out because I've used them so much, I just ordered a new palette because I will be crying the day that this one runs out. But now I've ordered a new one, so I think I'll be okay. And this brush has absolutely no marking details on it. I'm pretty sure it came with this, and I love it. It's my favorite brush. The tip is right. I like the size of it, just all of the things. It's kind of a rounded tip brush. And yeah, it's the one that I really enjoy using. Now, if you want to go a little bit fancier, Vicky says, I like everything I have gotten from Emerald Creek, right? They are amazing. Such a good company with really good people. Shout out Kim Evans. Love ya. So this is the Gansai Tambi from Kuretake. So when I got these ones, I felt like a professional. I felt like a professional watercolorer because I've got this 36. They come in different numbers. So if you're like not ready for a 36 yet, go ahead. And you can see these have been well loved. You can kind of see them curling up because I get them wet in the thing. I've used this as a paint palette, whether it was intended to be used as it or not. But I do really love the colors in here. With this, you have to make your own swatch. And so that kind of went inside the lid. And so when I made my swatches, I kind of made part of it darker and part of it a little bit lighter with a water. So I could kind of see some of the range that I can get just with each individual color. This palette also comes with some shiny coppery kind of things. So there's a copper, there's a gold, there's a white metallic-y kind of one, and then there's just a white for mixing as well. And all of them are numbered, and then the numbers correspond. So I think you can maybe even order replacement individual colors from them, but like I haven't gone that far. But they do have specialty palettes that come out from the same company. And so if you really wanted to try a bunch of ones that are pearlescent or something, they do have those as well. Okay, since I love these and I was bragging them up, let's start with my favorite, these Close to My Heart watercolors. Now, one of the things that I like to do with these is take my water bottle and spritz them. So I just get them all wet. Kind of generously. It's water, dries, it's all fine. Sophia says you can buy the Gansai Tambi tubs individually too from art stores. If you start running out or if there's one or two that you want. Thank you, Sophia. I don't get into art stores often enough, so that's a really great tip because every once in a while I do get into one, and that's something I can put on my list for when I go. Okay. Lots of people use 2 buckets of water, one for having clean and one for rinsing. The other thing I like to have is a piece of paper towel that I keep handy for blotting. And actually, I've got my ink on the wrong side. I'm never going to be able to work like this. I'm going to have to move it over. Never going to be able to work like that. I'm just going to take that lid right off of there. And I keep a piece of paper towel ready for blotting because controlling your water is really important. Have I ever tried the FinTech metallic watercolors? They are amazing and so shiny. No, I haven't. I haven't. I have played with watercolor a fair bit for scrapbooking, but because I've struggled with the word artist as a scrapbooker, I've struggled with the word artist, I have not done that. Now I'm going to pull the packaging just for a guideline. I'm just going to kind of do what they did for their colors, basically, like as a guideline. So, because I really like how they've got some of the leaves that are looking pink and some are green or whatever color. And I'd like to be able to mix that. And I just think that they've done such a lovely job that I'll use them as a guideline for this. I can always do something different. I don't have to follow their rules. No rules, but you know. So one thing that you can do when you watercolor is you can go in and you can paint just water into some of the spaces where you're going to blend, right? And if you paint the water where you want it to go, then when you add your color into those spaces, you will you'll blend kind of soft and shiny kind of into those little spots without kind of bleeding everywhere. And so I'm just going to go into some of these little spots. It's a little hard to see where I've placed the water, I'll tell you right now, because I'm not like hovering right over it. I would probably have it closer to me if I wasn't trying to do this on camera. But just, bringing it to the camera is fine. If you take your color and bring it right to here, you can end up with harsher lines. That's okay too. With watercolor, people do both. They actually mix all kinds of different techniques when they're using their watercolor. So they've kind of treated this like, it looks like almost like some of the leaves have turned pink and some of them haven't. So you can see that I've got some that are darker, some that are lighter, some that are more feathery. And then when I just grab a little more and slip into a different pink, I can add extra like highlights and stuff in the colors. Now, what happens when you use water? It will spread, it will bleed, it will go in places where you're like, no, don't do it. You can keep a piece of paper towel and you can blot it to kind of keep it from going where you don't want it to go, right? Just touch it and it will pretty much lift right off of where you don't want it. So it's not like the end of the world that something transferred colors in places that you don't want. So depending on whether you want a really soft feathery look, add the water first. If you don't, use the water in the application with your paint. So I can see the lines of these leaves and then I'm just painting some of the leaves. Now you're noticing I'm doing all the pink stuff first. Why am I doing that? If I go in wet with pink, wet with green, what's going to happen when those two colors come together? Do I have a little thing right here? Hold on. I have not a great one, but this little thing here. I'm going to show you. I have a little baby color wheel. It's a little baby color wheel. And we're going to talk a little bit about the colors because this is really important, especially when you're watercoloring. Colors that are beside each other. So when this one has a little spinner on it. It's so cute. I got it from a company called the Gray Muse, Graymus. Found her on Instagram. She makes the coolest pins. But these ones were fabulous because they help give you a basic color wheel. So the ones that are close together, and if you look at these ones here, so she's got a few colors showing together. So red, orange, and yellow. So different shades of orange. When you see those ones together, the ones that are showing in this little window, those ones are all going to play nicely. And so when they bleed into each other, they're going to be friends. It's all going to be good. The ones that are across from each other on your wheel, if you go straight across from each other, so if you look at the ones that are across from each other, so here's the one for complementary colors. So the purple and the yellow. What happens if I put purple and yellow together? It's going to be ugly. Like purple and yellow, like not necessarily ugly. Brown is a nice color for some things, but it's not going to play nice together in blending. It's like when we did the rainbow stenciling, there were certain colors that we didn't put next to each other. When you have colors that are across from each other, so, you know, you've got your red and your green, you've got your blue and your orange, you've got your purple and your yellow, those don't play nice to each other. They're not going to blend pretty together. So when you're watercoloring, if you're thinking about those things, don't let them be wet at the same time. Yeah, brown is color. Brown is a color. We're not against brown here. We're just saying that brown needs to stay in its place. And if we're trying to make like pretty flowers, maybe we're not looking for brown at the time, right? Like that's okay. We could have different goals. And so I'm just going to pop some of this color in here. You can see as I pull the color through, I can pop more color into some places and just dab a little more in. And then other areas can be lighter when I've pulled more water through into there. Let's go into this florals. I want to just get all the flowers in here. And then we can just pick a few more of the leaves to make with our pinks. And one of the things that I really like when you're watercoloring is how custom your palette is. Like, so I'm just using this pink straight out of here. But if you want richer pinks, or you want softer pinks, or you want more purpley pinks, you just mix up the colors that you need, right? And even here, I can just go in and add a little touch of this purple and add this in here. And when it's wet, it will blend and you don't see purple anymore, but you also see the pink picking up the little shades of the purple, right? In the areas where it's still wet. You're going to see it blending and adding those colors in there, right? So now it's not purple, it's not pink, but they're friends, right? And because pink and purple kind of meet up close to each other on a color wheel, they're buddies. They're buddies. Yeah, so I'm just going in, adding some colors and getting this onto the leaves. It's interesting working in here because not having the black lines is definitely interesting. It's interesting when I get to the details in the center of the flowers because the other flowers, like I'm not seeing the centers as well as you would like on a black one. You can see that center really great. Once I've added color in here, it's like, what does that center look like? And so having something that's allowing me to say, oh, well, this is here, I guess I can do that it's kind of helpful. I'm just like noticing this as I go. Yeah, mixing colors across from each other for shadows, but not for your flower. Yeah, great for shadows. So, yeah, they've got little berries here. I'm going to go a little stronger on my colors for the berries, being a little bit more direct with the color, and just letting these other ones be softer. And just making sure that I'm going all the way out to the lines, because so far I haven't always gone up all the way to the lines. And for the no line to really have the effect, you kind of almost have to cover that line, or at least meet the line of it, so that it will look right. Okay. So these are the really soft ones that I did with the water. I am going to do a little bit more color into those so that they are a little less pastel, and just highlight them up. One thing is these leaves are very pointy, right? Like they're this shape, right? And so one thing that you can do as you're watercoloring that with them is just kind of give them a little darker side, depending on where your light might be coming from. I'm not very good at that, but if you pick one side of those leaves to be the dark side, go them on over to the dark side, it's gonna look good, whether you've got like all of the natural perfection in shading and everything figured out or not, right? So if you're just being consistent on your coloring technique, it's gonna look good. So here we go. This one's looking pretty good. Do I have enough pinks in here? Maybe I need to add a few more over on this side. And then I will go in and add the greens once we have kind of let this one dry. So we'll go to another one. I feel like I'd be coloring blind without the lines. Yeah, the lines are definitely helping. And I think in the end, like, we're so judgmental about what we make, and we look at it and we're like, yeah, this is kind of a mess, right? Like, you can look at it and be like, that's kind of a mess. But you can also look at it and say, hey, like, I'm learning. Am I great at this yet? No. But I think that I've made a lot of really pretty things when I've messed things up. You know, the mistakes aren't necessarily as big of a mistake as we sometimes think, right? We're holding ourselves to another level. What are we comparing ourselves to? Are we comparing ourselves to somebody like Gina Kay who's done this for years? Are we comparing ourselves to that professional person that we watched on YouTube, some artists, right? We're learning some technique from them. Are we comparing ourselves to them because we don't have their skills? Of course they're going to be good. They have 20 years of practice, or whatever it is. Or maybe they had 12 hours a day to dedicate to learning this. Or they don't have interruptions of little kids and then they learned it. Or their whole life they were encouraged to do art, where, you know, like, art was definitely not one of those things that was like something that was highly encouraged for me. I wouldn't say my mother discouraged art, but she didn't say, oh my gosh, honey, you need to take this art class. Like, that just wasn't my life. And if I compare myself to the people that are experts in their field, yeah, I'm going to feel like I'm not good at something. But that's not necessarily the case, right? Okay, I'm going to skip this one for right now because I just looked at the time. I just can't see any lines. You can see them, like, when you're here, like when you're up close to it, you can see the lines. So let me just show you. There are lines. They're just far from the camera, so it doesn't pick it up as good, but there are lines. So you can see that I'm following the lines with this. Does that help? Does that help? Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to go in and I'm going to do the same thing here on the ones with the black lines. Now, with this, I've got lines to follow, right? So I can see exactly where I want all of my colors to be. It's, I think it's like pretty fast and easy, but it's also going to have a really different look when I'm done. Those black lines, you're going to see them. And if you're looking at a flower, you see the edges with your eyes, but it doesn't have black lines around it. Yeah, you can see there are lines. I promise there are lines. I'm not just quite randomly coloring. It looks pretty random, but I'm not just completely randomly coloring. Yeah, so I think that it's really about that perspective when we do our craft, when we try something new, something that we've never done good before, or we've learned a new technique and so now we want to try it, or we've seen a new technique and we want to try it. We're not necessarily going to be great at it when we first come out of the gate, and that's okay. We don't need to be great the second that we start something. There's fun in the trying. I'd like to know who here, have you ever gone to a paint night? You know, one of the paint nights where you go and everybody in the class makes a certain picture. The teacher teaches you how to paint a certain picture, whether it's some Christmas scene or some other kind of whatever. They have all these interesting little scenes. And when you're making it, you're like, wow, this isn't very good. And then you kind of finish and you're like, well, okay, it's not terrible. That's okay. And then, like, as you look at it later, you're like, well, okay, yeah, it's not amazing. But when you were there, when you were making the class, when you were doing the art, were you having fun? Were you trying it? Did you learn something new? Like, so maybe you don't love the whole outcome, but maybe you really blended these two colors great. Or maybe you got this line really nice and it, you know, there's pieces of it that you pick up and maybe the artwork isn't a masterpiece. Like, I've seen artwork from these things. They're not masterpieces. We can be real. They're not masterpieces, but part of it is the camaraderie of doing the stuff with other people, that we learned and tried something new. We got to stretch our creative juices and have some fun, right? Says April. Yeah, I want to go to a paint night sometime. And Vicky hasn't been to one. Gina says she did. April says I have, and it was so much fun. Yeah, and I think it's that stretching of your creativity. It's trying something new. You have to go in with the expectation, like, I might not make a masterpiece, like, but you know, how do masters make masterpieces? After years of practice. It's not the first thing they make, right? So why are we expecting something different? When we create, why should we make a masterpiece out of the gate? And that's one of the things I love about scrapbooking, is that we have all of these other amazing crafters to learn from, right? We've got people that we've learned from over the years, whether it's Kathy Zelski for design or Becky Higgins for her sketch layouts, for, you know, like Stacey Julian with, you know, and just having a blast with color, you know, all of these greats. And nowadays it's like, Vicky Booten with mixed media stuff, and Shamel has always helped us with our page designs, right? So we have all of these amazing people that are teaching us lessons on how to find that level of success. And I can say, like, I've been scrapbooking for 23 years. I make pages that I really love. Now, is every page a masterpiece? No, they're not. Not every page is a masterpiece. I make pages that are kind of like, well, that one kind of sucks. But a lot of my pages are something that I am happy with now. And that's such a good place to be. Like, making pages that I like is the goal. And when I play with watercolor, when I try something new with watercolor, when I experiment with using the different mixed media options that we have, when I play with stamps and dies and all of that stuff, these are all things that make me a better scrapbooker, right? And they let me have more fun with my scrapbooking. And that for me is the goal, right? Like, it's one of the goals. I obviously want to tell good stories and share the stories that are important about my life. But one of my really big things is I better be having fun while I'm doing it. Like, I better be having fun. That's a huge part of what I want to do when I'm creating, is having some fun. So I'm just going in and adding these leaves. You'll see that I'm not doing them all because I'm going to use some other colors. I'm just going in with a few of these that are going to be kind of in this realm of color, and some other ones are going to be different colors. So yeah, so I think that it's really important for us to know and think about our expectations as we scrap and craft and try other things. Don't allow the lack of perfection to get in the way of the fun and the enjoyment of what we're doing, right? It's so important for us to be able to experiment and play. Like, I look at crafts that I've done with kids, and kids don't wait for you to tell them where to stick a sticker. Kids don't wait to decide where their stuff is going to go. Kids don't look at their stuff and think, oh, this sucks. They don't say this to themselves. So what are we doing? And why are we saying these things to ourselves? Right? Like, they're approaching it like, hey, I'm new to this and it's going to be fun. And we can do that too. So yeah, just a little perspective as we kind of play today. So getting the colors in here takes a little while, obviously, but getting the colors in and getting the leaves and stuff all done. There's a lot to this image. Thankfully not too many colors, but there's definitely a bit going on. So yeah, I think that everything I've done with scrapbooking and crafting has been like an adventure, and sometimes I'm good at this adventure. Sometimes I look at my stuff, I'm like, ooh, it's so good. And there's other times where it's like, yeah. Actually, I made a page during my load that we did in February, and like, I finished it. I posted it because I didn't have time to fix it, but I definitely wanted to fix it because I really wasn't happy with how it came out. And what did that tell me? It told me I could do better. I don't have to settle for that the way it was. I can make it better. I can do a better job. And I'm not offended by that. I'm not offended that I made a page that I don't love. I just think, wow, like, okay, that didn't meet my expectations, but I can make another page. Can fix it. I did a cool thing with it. Like, I made my own cut file and I actually cut it on my cutting machine. That's like score for two, because like, how often do I use my cutting machine? Almost never. But yeah, I think that it's having these expectations where it's just going to be fun. Now, this kind of watercolor is not the kind of watercolor that I do the most. So this stuff where it's like, coloring in an image. I don't do a lot of coloring, for starters. I was not that kid that sat with my crayons. Like I said the other day, I preferred to organize my crayons than actually color with them. But yeah, I think that for me, having this chance to play, when these are cut out, these are going to be darling, right? And you won't have to judge it based on you know, the parts that look mucky or messy, or maybe you didn't get just right. It all comes together and turns out beautiful once you have the pieces cut and separated and like designed, right? Like if you think about how this is all going to be cut out, it's going to be lovely and gorgeous. So I wanted to get to that level here today, is to be able to cut one of these things out. And of course, as usual, I've talked a lot. So I think for now, I'm just going to keep talking as I continue. If you have to run, we are at the top of the hour. It is that time. But I'm just going to keep playing for now because I'm still having fun and I want to get this thing done so that I can cut one out. That's my kind of goal for right now, is I want to get this cut so that I can really see how this is all going to look once I've done the no line watercolor and cut it out, because I can't really judge the effect of it until it's cut. Right? It's kind of neat. It is kind of neat, but I'm not sure that I love it yet. But I think cutting it out is going to be the make or break kind of moment for this. Don't know if I've used any of this green in here yet. No, I haven't. But we'll bring a little bit of this in so that we have some of that. And I really like mixing the different colors in here. But you can see I'm mostly taking each color direct into here. I'm not like mixing my own colors per se. Just going with what's straight out of the container. Straight out of the pot. See, some of the leaves I've even blended. I put like the pink next to the green, but I waited for the pink to dry, so then now my green doesn't bleed into it, and then that looks a lot better to me. Yeah, and then I'm just filling in some of the colors, some of the lines that I can still see. I'm just like making sure the lines are filled. It's looking not too bad. It just got windy here. It was not windy all day, but it sure is now. Okay, so I just need to get this one with a few more of the little dots. I guess I missed some of the dots right here and up here. Oh wow, it's like super windy. I wonder if it's really warm too. We get that here. We get things called a Chinook, where really warm weather blows through, and it tends to melt all the snow really quick. See here, I bled the green into the purple. It happened. I'm just pulling it back out. And green and purple, like, don't necessarily, they're not evil together, but you know, it's not exactly what my plan was here. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. I just need a little highlight in the middle of my flowers. And I haven't done the pink for a while, so it's fairly dry-ish. We'll see. I'm going to go in with my yellow and add just a little hint. Just dabbing off a little. And then I'm going to dab a little hint of this into the centers and make it just a little blurry. That's not enough. A little blurry in the centers of these flowers. Just pull some of that color. Any kind of little empty spots. Just kind of fill in the little empty spots. Eek. I'm really excited. I can't wait to see this cut out now. Just like checking it now to see if I've kind of missed anything. It looks pretty good. So I gotta give this a couple minutes. It's gotta dry for just a couple minutes before I can run it through. I just can't see like the water pooling on the top, right? So while we talk, we'll just keep working on this. I just bought some of those inks by Gina K. You've inspired me today. Yay! I'm so glad. Yeah, I really think that they are such a good product. Hey, Marsha, hello. She said, looks good from here. Okay, I'm going to go back and finish this one. Apparently, I didn't finish all my flowers on this one. We'll let this one dry. We'll run it through the machine, and that's where I will wrap for today. But I got to get some of these colored, right? Got to get some color in these. And it's going to be so lovely. Totally a different effect, right, than you get when you have the little black lines to kind of just fill in. But yeah, love it. Just really been having a lot of fun. Watercolor has been one of those things that has brought me a lot of joy in creating. It is just, it's fun. So Misty, who is here right now, she actually did a class for us for the Scrap Smarter experience. I don't remember which number that one was. Was it January of last year, maybe? But yeah, it was so great just to see the things that she shared, because it just gave me confirmation that I was doing some things right. And then she also gave me tips that helped me move forward with some of my skills for blending and bringing things together so that they would look a little bit better. Just, you know, a few new little tips. And I think that's one of the great things about having somebody that isn't maybe a full-fledged watercolor artist. They get a little bit hoity-toity sometimes. January of last year, yeah. We're actually in the process of adding all of our Scrap Smarter classes to our new shop. We had to go to a new shop format so that we could do it in the way that we wanted to. So that was like drama. I tell you, if it's not one tech thing, it's a different one. But yeah, we just having the chance to see the learn about some watercolor techniques from somebody that understands the scrapbooking side, that understands I don't care about painting some landscape or a portrait of somebody's face, or like they kind of understand the goals of what I want to achieve a lot better. That for me makes learning from scrapbookers that have these things figured out so much more valuable, because they can give us those tools that help us achieve something that we really want to do with it. And like that's, yeah. So that's why, like, when you go to somebody like Misty or Jana Oliveira, she's on YouTube. She also does some watercoloring, and it's not, she does florals, a lot of florals, but because they're coming at it with other perspectives and it's not always just the art, it can really help you bring what you need to your craft. Yeah, Vicky says I learned a lot from that class. I know, like, Misty's class was great for bringing the things that we want. I like to do a lot of watercolor blendy backgrounds. It's something that I just, like, I think is the best thing ever. I love it. So having a teacher that kind of shows me some of the things that I've been missing in mixing colors or getting the tones that I want, it has really been awesome. So, and honestly, we get better the more that we practice, right? Like I'm already a much better person at, like, better at blending than I was. I'm better at controlling where I want my water to go than I was. And, oh, what was the thing that Misty had said? She said, oh, when you get your paint thing. So she talked about those little paint tubes with the watercolor. She said, you're supposed to put them into a little paint thing and let them, like, dry out, basically. And then you go in and use them like this. I was like, what? I had no idea. I always thought you just squirt out a little bit and you use that little bit while it's still wet. And I'm like, well, I've been doing this wrong. Because yeah, I had some of those too. And oh yeah, just, yep, the things that you learn, right? I'm like, I didn't know. So I'm even adding some blue leaves in here. And let's have a look. How is this doing? Oh, almost. Okay. So I'm just gonna work on a few more of these leaves, get a few more of them in here, and then we'll be able to cut this one out. That's what I want to see. I just want to see it cut out. Yeah, these blue ones, that's like looking pretty, guys. Yeah. You know, the colors that you don't expect sometimes. And what I really like to do is what I just did here. I did this one here in some green, and then I just added just a little touch of the blue. And when that dries, oh my gosh, just so pretty. So pretty. Yeah. So that you kind of get both of the colors acting in there. And yeah, love it. Love it, love it, love it. Let's ooh, I just feel like this is almost done, but then it's still like not almost done, and I'm like, come on, get done. When you realize how many little leaves are on the project. And I need another little color to bring into here. And if there's not enough water for them to blend, just throw a little more water in it. And there we go. And I wonder like how precise I have to be with this, because it's going to be cut with the die cut, right? So some of the mess ups where I go over the edges with watercolor, I don't really feel too constrained by edges actually and lines. Like the lines are there, but if you go over them, I feel that that really isn't a problem. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. It's like, Alice, lines matter. You're doing it wrong. If you think that lines don't matter, you're doing it wrong. I'm okay. Okay, are we at the last ones? Are these the end? I kind of hope so. Okay, oops, almost. Ta-da! Okay, I gotta do the centers of those flowers because they definitely need a little something in the centers just to make them pop a little. There, I think we're good. So we've got two very different effects. Orchard says I need to Bob Ross it when I get in a hurry. Coloring purposefully outside the lines is a thing. There you go. So we got two very different effects. Does this look amazing? Wait until we cut it out. Don't judge it yet. Don't judge it yet. Sometimes your hot mess is just waiting for the magic. Waiting for the magic. Okay, so I can't put this one through the cutter yet, but I can put the other one through the cutter now. So that's what we'll do. We'll bring that in, and we'll bring the die. That should be sitting right here on my desk. It's like, where are ya? Oh, did I put it on this side? I was getting things ready. I think that a little more cleanup might have been a good idea. Oh, it's here. Found it. Have it ready. Then I put my phone on top of it. It's like it's lost. Okay, so last time we had to line it up and then tape it and then flip it over to stick it on the Gemini base, right? Because the Gemini, that's how it works. So we will line it up and tape it. And Daniela, hello. She says, I most often use watercolor pencils. I feel when I use them, I have more control. So what do you guys think? We should play with watercolor pencils one day? That sounds like a fun idea. Okay, let's stick this down and stick this down. Try not to stick it too much over top of my actual designs so that I don't end up peeling up my stuff like last week, last time. That did happen. Little Miss Careful over here. Okay, I'm gonna run this through my Gemini. It's right here. It's off screen today, but that's okay. So while that does that, I can put my lid back on these. I'm going to go through and I'm going to fill in these ones with the black lines so that I can color them too. Okay, here we go. All the little pieces, you guys. Now, I dare you to tell me that these are not gorgeous because I can already see how gorgeous they are. Ooh. Okay, let's pull this off carefully. It just had a little tiny bit. Oh, you guys, it's so pretty. It's so pretty. Okay. I got all of them up. Okay, so here we go. Look at this. Look at how lovely it is. It looks like I just painted those and didn't have any lines at all to play with. Doesn't it look like I painted that? And I just made it all up all by myself with my own brain? Instead, I had lines from my stamp the whole time, right? Like, am I a cheater? Totally. Am I taking it? Totally. Like, gorgeous. They're so pretty. Girl. Yeah. How nice are those? Like, I'll tell you, like, when you're looking at it on the thing, I'm like, is it just a hot mess? You know, that could be. But now I'm looking at it, I'm like, I'm a genius. I'm so good at this. Okay, well, maybe not a genius. That might be overstating things a little. But they turned out so good. So good. So here we go. We tried something new. We did the no line watercolor, and that is a huge success. Like, look how pretty that is. Putting this onto my page is going to be gorgeous. I am super excited. And like, when you're looking at it, when it was on the sheet, I'm like, well, I don't know. If you're comparing it to this, it looks way different. The effect is totally different. But you can see that when you're not putting that side by side and you look at this, it looks like I designed that. In fact, now I look at it, I'm like, I could have designed that. Could I have designed that? Maybe I could have designed that. But I look at it and it's so pretty. And it's that imperfections, it's the messy, it's like the you know, the stuff. Like, it looks very professional. And like, it's the imperfections that make it look good. And so when we're judging our stuff because we're thinking, oh, I'm just not good at this, maybe we're just not seeing it in the right light. We're not looking at it fully, right? I think that is, it's just beautiful, and it definitely wasn't perfect. And it definitely wasn't something that, you know, was hard. You guys saw it. I like smushed paint here and I smushed paint here. Like, I wasn't exactly technical about my paint application. Yeah, what stamp did you use? Okay, so yeah, the stamp that I used was this one from Pink Fresh Studio. It's called In the Meadow, and I'll have that linked on my faves page. Oh, look, I did a thing. There we go. On my faves page. I'll have these linked on my faves page and In the Meadow. And so you can get the stamp, you can get the die, you can get the stencils, the layered stencils, and you can also get the massive roll of washi tape. So I went hardcore. I wanted to try it all. But yeah, I like the different things. Do you necessarily need all of them? Maybe not. But I like that you can get the different elements and really customize your like the effects that you want, the look that you want. And then the stamp pads that I used are the Gina K Amalgam ink pads. These are the ones in Barely There and Whisper, but they are the Amalgam ink because they do not bleed. so they won't mess up on you. So that is what I had used. Thank you to everyone for being with me today. I had a great time playing with this. Yay. You guys are stars. Yeah, I had just such a great time playing with this stuff today with the watercolor, and I really love the whole effect of bringing this together. So what I think that we should do on Monday is I think we should do some kind of layout with the pieces. What do you think? I don't know whether I want to do the watercolor pieces or if I want to do the other pieces. Here's what I'm thinking we should do. Here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we should watercolor a background and then use watercolored pieces over top to decorate it. What do you think of that? I think that would be fun. So I think that's going to be the plan. We're going to do a watercolor layout on Monday, and we will watercolor our own custom background for the watercolor pieces. Misty says that if you use water-based ink, you can get a very no-line look as the lines will literally blend into your painting. So there you go. Water-based ink, you can have them blend right in. Oh, thank you so much. Vicky says, don't forget to like. April says, I'm heating up my hot foil plate right now to try hot foil and watercolor. Yes. So much fun. So on Monday, we're going to play with some more with watercolor, and we're going to put together some backgrounds as well as bring some of these custom pieces together for an actual layout. Are we gonna make an actual layout? That'll be great. So yeah, this was a lot of fun. Thank you so much for joining me for this Happy at Home series. This continues all month. We meet weekdays, not weekends, but weekdays. Also tomorrow, if you're not on my email list, hurry up. There is still time. Tomorrow we have Scrapbook Live. And so you go to scraphappy.org, woo, power blip, /subscribe. Sorry, we're getting some blips here. And if you go there, you can sign up for my emails. And tomorrow at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 p.m. Eastern, we will be live on a Zoom, and I will be creating with my kit from the scrap room, and I will be giving away a free kit from the scrap room. So don't miss out on that. Make sure that you are either a Scrap Happy member, you're automatically invited, or on my newsletter list. So that is the fun that we have there. If you are inspired by something I've shared today, show me on Instagram, tag me on Instagram, and let me know what you made. Say, Alice, I did this while you were creating, or I saw what you did and then I wanted to play. And if you're catching the replay, you can totally still do that. Just let me know on Instagram what you've created. I would love, love, love to see. And yeah, that's it. So have a great weekend. If you haven't had enough of me yet, tomorrow morning is the time to hang out for the Scrapbook Live event. And then I will be back on Monday for next week, and we're going to start the week off with some watercolor. So that is where we will start Monday. Until then, happy scrapping, everyone.